Welcome to Study the Solopreneur, a series where we learn about the rewards and challenges of those who've built a successful career for themselves while paving the way for others like you to do the same. I am your host, Dana Gore, and I'm glad to have you with us. So let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome to Study the Solopreneur, a series where we discuss the rewards and challenges of living your truth, freeing your mind, and being creative, of starting your own business, doing work you love. Today's guest and I actually go back several years, and I am super excited to have him on my show and share his message with you. Ryan Biddulph is an author, blogger, and coach. He's the creator of Blogging from Paradise, a community where you can learn to have fun blogging, to boost your blogging income, and to generate more traffic and actually enjoy the ride. Ryan's been featured on some pretty heavy sites like Richard Branson's Virgin blog, Forbes, really just to name a few. In fact, he's been featured on over 200 blogs since he first started Blogging from Paradise back in July of 2014. Interestingly enough, Ryan may be a successful solopreneur, but when he was younger, he admits he had no entrepreneurial bones in his body. Just goes to show that if you decide to change your life, it's possible, and that's exactly what this show is all about. So without further ado, here's Ryan. Hey Ryan, how's it going?
Dana, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, my friend.
No problem. I am glad to have you on my show. I mean, I've known you've been in the blogging community really since 2014, but this is the first time we've actually chatted. I mean, we've shared blog posts and we've definitely associated with a lot of the same people, but yeah, this is the first time that we've actually chatted, and I'm thrilled to have you as my guest. I think you've got a great message.
No, I appreciate it. It's always good to have that first real human contact, either in person or via chat. We hear our voices. So yeah, no, it's great. It's what makes online so fun.
It does. I've had a blast getting to know some of the other people out there too. So I want to know, what did you do before becoming a solopreneur? Before
I became a solopreneur, I worked as a security guard about 15 minutes down the good old New Jersey Turnpike here in America, in New Jersey. I was living the sometimes 4 to 12, 4 to 8, 16-hour shift life. And then before that, it was just 9 to 5 job. So I was a true dyed-in-the-wool employee who was conditioned to live a life of, dare I say, being in survival mode, where you just work a job to get these numbers on a screen, and then you send those numbers on a screen to someone for food and this and that. So it's the, very, very common, typical thing, how most of us are programmed, growing up by society, by our families. So before I dove into it, I was just working the 9 to 5 bit, doing the security guard bit for about 3 to 4 years. And that was the time when I got axed and I was downsized, where I knew, Dana, that I had to do something fun and freeing with my life, because I put in so many hours at the shipping terminal, and I worked at the dock, where I knew there had to be a better way. So when I was chilling, quote unquote, for a while, I decided I was going to go back and do the 9 to 5 bit. And my then girlfriend, now wife, Kelly, told me about the online bit, how you could actually make money on the internet. And I had no idea. This was like 2009. And even then, I had no idea you could do that. It was such a new world to me. So that's really where it all started, when I got that little spark of, oh, wow, I could have freedom and work from home. Sounds cool to me.
All right. So that's what inspired you to make the change.
Definitely. It was being so bound, because especially at the shipping terminal, I would work like 80-hour weeks. Sometimes I'd work 18-hour days. It was just really intense. So I'm like, there has to be a different way to make money, to feel free and to feel really fulfilled too, rather than, looking at numbers on a screen or checking container boxes or whatever I was doing at the time. So that was the real nudge, if you will.
Okay, yeah. And I totally get what you're saying about the survival mode. It's you spend all your time to be able to afford to live, but you don't have the time to actually enjoy living at all.
We're in the Matrix. Yeah, no, people think it's a joke, but we really, really are. You think it's a movie, and when you pull back and there's some reflection and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, why am I doing this? And when you start thinking more deeply, it will get very uncomfortable. But you're like, why do human beings with this gift of consciousness run around like animals from the perspective of survival? Get money, get food, put a roof over your head, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, now, it's just the silence, that pullback really woke me up. And I was like, okay, there has to be a better way. So that was the starting point.
Yeah, The Matrix. See, to me, that's more like a documentary.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It really is. Oh, we could probably do another 10 shows on that. I'm so deeply into this, Dana, just the study of the mind, and then even just society and manipulation. And I'm a positive, loving guy, but it's interesting to see that illusion and how fear has, again, another show topic, but how it's just influences so many human beings from cradle to grave. So it's an interesting topic. But being a solopreneur, we get to have some time to really explore this type of topics, because we have to go through it ourselves, these fears.
No, it's true. And it definitely would be another topic. It would be an interesting discussion. I've noticed a lot of movies out there are really more like documentaries, but The Matrix is definitely one of them. So
big time.
Yeah. So you're a successful blogger, author, and solopreneur, really just to name a few of your accomplishments. I know your work's been featured, like I said in the beginning, on some pretty big name blogs and websites. What obstacles and challenges have you encountered along your journey, and how have you handled them?
I think my biggest obstacle was my relationship with fear, ultimately. I mean, I think, Dana, that it's the more I've been doing this for a decade now, and every single day I learn, because I'm more open now, and I learned some awesome lessons, and some of those lessons are wrapped up in fears that I've clung to for 10 years still, after being featured on these sites and having worldly success and circling the globe. So I think the biggest obstacle for me was just not burying fear, not panicking when things weren't coming together, and being generous and trusting in the process. I mean, that's when we talk about the nuts and bolts of blogging. I mean, I could go into list building and trying it and not trying it, and, trying to create content. But everything we do starts in the inner world. Everything is inside out. If you appear to run into an obstacle with your blog, like I was running into obstacles with money and guest posting opportunities, and nobody emailed me for 2 years for a sponsored post, and all that stuff on the outside in the physical, tangible world was actually beginning within. And my biggest obstacle, which is, I think it's every human being when they're just being totally genuine, it's understanding how to face, embrace, feel, and release these really either less, a little more intimate fears or really deep, painful fears, to be the really generous person who helps a lot of people. And in helping a lot of people for free, you increase your skills and increase your exposure. And then when you got that down, increased skills and increased exposure, then it does get easier, because then you're in a lot of spots and you're skilled. So then, people from Virgin are like, hey, we want to talk to you, or Forbes, and that's not even, those aren't like, those like, one in a life, once in a lifetime moments. I mean, after I had those features, it was cool. It was an easy boost. I got more exposure, but it's the day-to-day stuff. It's all the one-to-one connection. So I think that was my biggest obstacle then. It was just developing a more intimate relationship with fear, feeling it, releasing it instead of burying it, and then coming from a more genuine, generous space that helped increase my skills and my exposure. And then from there, it does get easier, but it's just going to be really uncomfortable, because again, most of us are in the matrix. This is really, it's going to be far out there the way you start thinking as a new solopreneur and feeling.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And the fear that you're talking about, I mean, I get that too. And I'm constantly having to confront my own fears on a regular basis. A lot of it goes back into self-awareness and questioning yourself. And self-awareness is a pretty all-encompassing task. It's kind of one of those things you have to get into like all the time. And I think you have to really want to know what's inside of you and be willing to face the stuff that is inside of you that comes to the surface and shows itself to you without judging it, but just sort of acknowledging it and saying, oh, okay, that's there. Yeah. Maybe it's telling me something I really need to know. It is tough work. And folks, I just want to mention real quick that With what Ryan just said, he actually wrote a guest post on my blog. It's called Blogging Energy 101. I think you become it by being it. It's something like that. You'll see it. It's pretty obvious. And I would totally suggest checking that out because it expands on what he just said. So I happen to know that you travel the world and you do that literally blogging from paradise. And in fact, it seems a lot of your content is inspired from the different experiences that you have visiting other places. What do you love most about what you're doing?
For me, it's the cultures. It's so fascinating for a guy who grew up in north central New Jersey, and it's a real melting pot here. It's awesome. I mean, I grew up in an extremely diverse area, being 30 minutes from New York City, and it was great. But comparing like America, I mean, we're a baby country in America, a couple hundred years, to a place like Thailand, and not just the time aspect of going all the way back, but like getting up in the morning when I'm wherever I am in Thailand, Chiang Mai, Koh Lanta, even the southern tip of Phuket where it's more quiet, seeing the monks walk by at 5 or 6 a.m., doing their alms, walking through Istanbul, Turkey, and seeing the men out in front of the coffee shops with their tiny little glasses of coffee. It's served rather in this little cute cup. Of course, no sugar, no cream. It's just these experiences of embracing culture and then being able to relay it to my readers, to my community, and to show them both, I can make blogging lessons out of it, which I do from time to time, and some of those are kind of colorful and interesting. I've had some Netflix-worthy experiences genuinely during my travels, but then also teaching people that 99.99% of what you see on the news is back in the matrix of fear. And these are things that are unfolding. I get it, but so much of the world is just awesome and loving and interesting and fascinating. And when they see my viewpoint, a lot of my readers who never leave their hometown, they get a whole different view on different cultures, different religions, different countries, in this dangerous, horrible place that major media and society in large paints these places, especially from the views of developing nations, or I should say developed nations, Western nations. They see that the world's actually really cool and a lot more like us than we think. So I kind of see myself then as an ambassador of world peace in a way. Not that I'm trying to be, but all these people that are afraid when they read my blog, they're like, oh, it's really cool over there. Maybe I won't go. But now, when I see someone who has, who subscribes to that religion in my hometown or looks a certain way, I'm like, okay, cool. They're like me. And I learned that through Ryan's blog. So I cherish that. And I take it very seriously as I convey a really, honest, but very positive images of these places. So it's been fun doing that.
Yeah. And I agree with you on all that too. I mean, we only get to see really for the most part, what's presented to us, in the media and the world of information. And that I know that is heavily controlled. That could be a whole nother conversation, which we won't have it here, but heaven forbid they should put on the news, hey, this group of people have gotten together and they've formed a whole community garden to help feed their town, and it happens in so many different places, but that's definitely not something you would see.
No, and it's that, and it's the fact that these different cultures, like I spent 2 months in Oman, and a lot of people I know in America would be like, where's that? I didn't know until a number of years ago, but it's actually south. It's actually not too far. It's a 3.5-hour ride from Dubai in UAE, and it's on the Arabian Peninsula. In 2 months, my wife Kelly and I covered up completely because it was a conservative Muslim neighborhood in the middle of the desert in Nizwa, and it's like, to the rest of the world, that's just such a negative thing. But when you're there and you're living that life for, granted, 2 months, covering up your skin, you see how much time, like I see myself, how much time I wasted on vanity and how my arms look and how this looked. And none of it really matters. And then you start to see, oh my gosh, this actually works for folks there. And we're so kind and generous and inviting us into home for coffee and dates, not even knowing us. They talk to us for a minute and meeting us on the street, come inside for coffee and dates. It's like the heart. The Middle Eastern hospitality is unrivaled anywhere in the world. And seeing it through that presentation, like you said, of the news media, it's like, whoa, wait a second. This Ryan guy is saying, people driving through the desert at 10 at night, and there's a guy in Oman, a car full of Muslim women are like, hey, buddy, we'll take you back to your house. it's like when you live it, you're like, what's going on? So I kind of see myself as a little bit of an ambassador and just someone who can bring the world together more when you start seeing the truth. And again, it's why it's so important to do your own thinking and to listen to awesome shows like yours, Dana, where it's like you start taking that accountability. And like you said, self-awareness, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been doing it for a long time. And at this point, I personally consider myself an observer. And that's like all you can do is just observe and try to get rid of, if you recognize the programming and kind of try to get rid of it, you start to recognize where you've kind of suffered from cognitive dissonance until you have finally decided to be an observer and just witness what's going on instead of, being married to all of the beliefs that you've grown up with that you've never bothered to question. It's big stuff. I don't think people realize just how big it is, but once you do it, and I think you do it the right way, you change. I mean, you just change and you're never the same. But I guess that's a whole nother conversation too. But so like you've written over 125 ebooks. I mean, I know it's at least 126, if not maybe more by now. So like what inspired you to do this and what motivated you to produce so much content?
I was in Bali at the time. I had written a couple. I think I'd written like 12, 10 to 15,000 words. Still short reads. But then I was in Bali. I just woke up this one morning and I've been doing a lot of meditating, clearing a lot of stuff, as you said, a lot of observing and watching and feeling. I just generated this idea of going down because we were on a large villa the size of a soccer field, or for European folks listening, football field, of course. And it was just huge and it was just gorgeous. And we were there for 6 months. We were there for half a year house sitting. And there's this beautiful little apartment, not quite like a Java Jogo, like the Balinese traditional place, but close enough. And it was just on the one quadrant of this monstrously sized villa. And I'm like, let me just go down there and start writing what I've experienced blogging wise and life wise. And it was just instant. There was no logic. There was no thinking it through. There was no planning or even like motivation. It was just, I'm just going to do this every morning for like 3 hours. And it was stream of consciousness. I went down and I would write and finish every ebook, 6,000 words to 8,000 in 2.5 to 3 hours. I would proofread for about a half hour to 40 minutes, self-publish it by noon button, and then, 4 or 5 o'clock every day. And this just went on for 3 months in a row, roughly. It was 3 months and it was one every day, 6,000 words minimum. It was just let me share a long-form blog post about blogging to help people, and let me share my personal development experience going from, a sheltered, broke security guard to being a guy who travels the world through blogging. So it was just, I can't even explain it. It was for releasing a lot of gunk, a lot of energetic gunk that I was watching, a lot of fears and pain. And I got the idea and I ran with it. And of course, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you could create anything anywhere, but there was only a little bit extra inspiration because it was this little jungle-like setting on the villa compound. So that felt just so good. That was a really small part of it. I mean, I've created thousands and thousands of blog posts from a lot less exotic New Jersey. So it's always the inner world stuff.
Got it. All right. That's interesting. But I totally get it. And I've heard other people, like I've heard Wayne Dyer talk about stuff like that. I used to really enjoy his work a lot, and he would talk about it. The words automatic writing almost come to mind when you talk about that. And in a way, it's like you clear yourself out, and it's like the information kind of flows right through you.
Bingo. That's exactly it. That's how I do. A lot of people want like rigid structures and routines, and I'm like, okay, there's a writing ritual. I get that. You practice writing daily, but as far as the inspiration where it just flows, there's nothing like, okay, you could have a daily, I'm going to practice writing daily, but there's nothing like wading into your fears and sitting in front of a computer screen for 10 minutes until you tear up or cry or you're frustrated or you're angry. Because writer's block is something else. It's not writer's block, it's fear. And fear is always deeper than what we think it is. And it's, again, the observation helps us see that. But sitting in front of an empty screen, an empty Word doc on a screen, it's the greatest therapy, because eventually when you face the fears that fuel your writer's block, and you clear them, you will become mind-numbingly prolific, and the rest of the world will look at you like you're some type of god or something. And it's nothing other than being with your fears. And that goes with everything. That goes for circling the globe. That goes for making money. That goes for influencing clout. People face their fears, and especially the heart-centered ones, they release them, and then they're just generous. And then they get to be in a zillion places and have all these skills, and they have all this worldly success. But it really, they're grateful for it, but it doesn't mean a lot, the stuff. Even me, the travel, I love doing it, but the stuff, it's just the experiences. It's really why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Definitely a much more thought-provoking approach to it, So I can appreciate that. And I know that a lot of my more powerful stuff has come from a similar place, less intellectual and more of a flow, and then you kind of pair it off with some structure and stuff. But I totally get it. I also know that health and fitness is a big part of your life. How has this impacted your business model?
Incredibly, Dana. I have been physically active since I was 4 or 5 years old. I started playing basketball. I played through high school, all through grammar school, went to basketball camps, high school, even played with junior college. But then after that, I got into weightlifting for a while and maybe wasn't as much into my cardio. But then after I let that go, right before I started traveling, then it was just cardio, meditation for a while. Now it's deep in yoga, and now I'm up to 90 minutes of power walking and shadow boxing every night. So 6 miles of that, and then an hour and a half of deep yin. So 1/8 of my day, an hour and a half of deep yin yoga, and an hour and a half of the real swift power walk and shadow boxing. What it does is it moves your energy along. Like when we're sleeping, when we're resting, we're meditating, that's just that more the yin energy, which is just stillness, and there's a need for that in our bodies and in our lives. Then there's the yang or the yang, where it's movement, energetic flow. And you'll notice these people that are really old calendar-wise, but then they look so young, and their energy is just flowing like roaring rapids. And then on the flip side, you'll see these folks that are young calendar-wise, and they seem like they're 20 years older, and their energy within is like a stinky, festering bog. And what this energy flow does, where you just recruit it and you just get that fitness going and movement and just vibing higher, it makes you prolific. Because you want to have the writer's block, because writer's block is fear. It makes you energetic. So when people can't work 8 hours, you're working some days because you love what you're doing, 12, 14, 16 hours, and you're still going. Your energy just, as it moves, it dissolves blocks with your fears. And as the fears dissolve, you become completely unstoppable. And there's nothing that could stop you. And it's not from a crazy, frenzied space. It's actually from a slow, controlled, poised, peaceful, powerful space, from a loving space. So that's pretty much been it with me. That energy has made me prolific. It's made me, people have called me the king of just posting. People have called me the king of blog commenting. My live videos, I've been mentioned on John Chow's blog by my friend Zach Johnson as a live video guy to watch, and Virgin, Forbes. The higher you vibe by managing your energy through fitness, and then of course inside out, so you're doing the mental stuff, you're doing the meditation, the deep yin yoga, you're going to shine so brightly and be so creative and connected that the world has to see you. And it will be for the good of everybody. It's not for, glorification of self or any of that, And even when people say stuff to me, I'm like, I'm just the guy who writes. I love what I do. I'm confident, I'm clear. But that energy management, that's how you reach that next level. Like when bloggers can't seem to get a guest post or a feature, and they look at someone like me and they're like, oh, you've been on Forbes and Fox News, the website, and get that energy going. You're going to shine really brightly because everything's flowing, and you're not going to be as burdened by the heavy yoke of fear. And then that's where you'll see increasing blogging success. And of course, the icons, you see guys like Richard Branson and Tony Robbins, guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, where it's just that there's something irresistible about them. And it's their energy is just, it's flowing, man. It really, really is. And then obviously the most of all time are the enlightened beings that they're unbound by body or mind. They're observing it all, and their energy is just, Dalai Lama, these are the masters, their energy is just, forget about it. So it's interesting to observe that. And I started to see these, gurus and spiritual masters and people taking care of their bodies and minds and their energy flow. And I'm like, man, if you really want to make a difference and, enjoy the ride, and it's going to be scary too, but that's the way to go. So that's why I'm so fit and why I just placed premium on the physical work and the physical activity and exercise, and then also the inner clarity.
Gotcha. You referenced the law of attraction a lot in your work. How has this played out in your life, and how do you feel others would benefit from approaching success using this?
Well, everything is energy. And with the LOA, I manifested my life, co-created with the universe by vibing more from love and fun and vibing less and less from fear and pain and scarcity and poverty. I mean, the truth is, LOA wise, it's love, abundance, wealth. These are what are true. They're the reality with the capital R. Everything else is fear, which is an illusion. The LOA is all about vibing and doing what's fun and being detached about it, trusting that you're cared for, taking the direct path through your fun, even when it gets really uncomfortable and you see the illusion of poverty. And this is called, helping someone with your blog for 2 years and you still haven't made $20, but it still feels fun and good. And then you see there, some money blocks maybe to nudge into, or it could just be, hey, just relax, and allow it to come into form as you're having fun helping people. But the LOA is just all about that resonance. So the more you vibe and do things blogging wise, life wise, from a place of fun and love, and wouldn't that be great if I just did that, and then you do it. And then along the way, as you're embracing and releasing your fears, you're going to align with those experiences and you'll be living them. And it's just, we're lowercase g, but we're all gods. And the LOA, when you really get down to it, if you could do things from love mainly and generosity and detachment, you'll align with phenomenal experiences and your dreams. And it's just, you can't even, Dan, I had no idea where Bali was, over 10 years ago, or Cambodia. I didn't know where they were. I was a plastic American. And it was just one of those deals where I was vibing as a security guard at a shipping terminal, which was awesome. Perfect place, perfect time. Everything's perfect place, perfect time. But the LOA was like, I just came out of that energy of fear, and I made a lot of uncomfortable, terrifying choices along the way. It's how it goes when you move towards your fun, because you're so conditioned in the matrix to live in fear. And when I made those choices from love, even when people thought I was crazy or I should just work an office job, I started vibing from a higher level and aligning, LOA, attraction, energy, with people who would help me live that life or who've lived that life. And then they taught me, and they were different energies. Everything is energy. Everything's energy, physical, tangible people. And you just align with all these energies that help you live your dreams as you're helping people live theirs. So it's been just the core of what I've been. And I think that's the key too with the LOA, Dana. It's being, not doing. Almost every human, they screw it up because they try to work hard to be someone, not even to be someone, to get something, and their energy just says lack, limitation. I don't have it, and that's fear and scarcity. So this is nuanced stuff here. This is not a joke. This is not, hey, just be positive. A lot of us have fear, pain, scarcity buried, that as we're moving towards our fun, that will arise, and it will grab our attention in very many colorful ways. Losing all our money, getting deathly sick, and these things have happened to me many times in my life. And then finally I got the hint, and I'm like, oh, I have something I have to observe and be with, some fear and pain. And it's unpleasant, but if you do that, you see who you become after it. And then you're like, oh, now I get the whole energetic, what all these wise people talk about, the energy of life and doing things from generosity and detachment and trust. And things do come together, and they come together more and more quickly the more you clear the fear and you do things and hold that predominant intent of, I'm going to live life doing what's fun, doing things from a place of love and detachment, being generous, and deciding not to do much else, just coming from that vibe.
What advice would you give to someone struggling with their lives or career based on your own experience and knowledge, especially all of the stuff that you've been talking about throughout this interview?
Struggles, fear. Every struggle in life, every problem in life is fed by your deep fear about something, someone, something that happened 30 years ago. No need for psychoanalysis, but if you're struggling in any area of your life, blogging-wise, solopreneur-wise, you want to travel, but, I just got to have my money. I can't do that. It's always fear. So if you begin working on, not just working on your energy, but like you said, Dana, observing your energy, a meditation ritual, deep yin yoga, just deep breathing for 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day. And you stop thinking that the struggle is something that's happening outside of you, and you own the truth. The illusion is struggles outside. The truth is there is some fear inside of you and some pain that you will need to hug and feel and release for the struggle to go away. Then you'll not struggle. You'll have struggles, but then you'll be like, oh, now I get it. I'm having a struggle in this area because I'm afraid of this. I'm having a struggle in that area. And you're going to leave the blamers behind. You're going to leave the people who are in struggle behind. Not because you lack compassion, but because you have compassion. Because everybody has to figure out their struggle. Ultimately, they'll have inspiration outside of them, but what do we say again? On their own from within. So we all have to be our own guru or master. In a way, we really do. And that's my number one lesson. I've had this happen. I mean, literally, and people have said it, like my life could be a movie only because not so much even going from a pure guard to island hopping pro blogger. I mean, that could be pretty cool. But just these crazy experiences and these colorful experiences and the different cultures I've lived, I mean, it really is, I'm almost in awe at it because I feel like sometimes I didn't have a lot to do with it. And it's just like, when you take that one and you just really roll with it, you understand that it's just, if you'll just own your struggles and your pain and your fear and you feel what's within, then you will feel really unpleasant for a while. But when you release those fears, the ideas you get, the people you align with, the actions you move into from a more fearless, inspired space will just, you'll forget you even struggle in that area of your life. And that's what the beauty of it is. And we're designed to be this way.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I did the same thing when it came to my whole weight situation and how I won't even get into it, but everything you just said, I applied it to that in that exact way. And it's been a very long time. I went from being one person to somebody totally different. And it had nothing to do, or very little to do, with making any real physical changes. It was all on a consciousness level. And that is really a big part of things. But again, it's all encompassing. So that's why I think this conversation has been interesting and different. And I'm definitely excited to share this with everybody. What projects are you working on now?
Just rolling with my blog and doing some guest posting, promoting my ebooks and courses. But other than that, I just, from here on out, at least for the foreseeable future, just generously helping people, having fun, trusting, and seeing where it takes me. Because the income streams are out there, and one's open up. One's avail themselves, and so it's just my blog and guest posting, just bloggingfromparadise.com, and then also too really enjoying the travels. I have another trip coming up very soon to Connecticut, which will be really fun, up on the Gold Coast up there, which is beautiful, up by Greenwich, and that really, really very, very prospering area. So that's always fun. And that's pretty much it right now.
Awesome. So where can people find you?
Best spot to find me is at bloggingfromparadise.com. I have my courses, books, ebooks, audiobooks, content, all that good stuff.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Ryan, I want to thank you for being my guest today. It has been a huge pleasure chatting with you and sharing your ideas, insights, and story with our listeners. You've been an asset to the blogging community and to those looking to create a career for themselves, doing work they love, and even traveling the world doing it. And I have no doubt that people have learned something new from this discussion that'll bring enlightenment and inspiration into their lives. So thank you again so much for being my guest today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Folks, Study the Solopreneur is about you. These discussions are meant to guide you toward living your truth, freeing your mind, and being creative. If you enjoyed this discussion, check out the playlist and listen to my other guests. And please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for being with us. All of the information discussed in this conversation, including Ryan's website, will be linked in the description box below. Have a great day, all, and until next time, take care. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Study the Solopreneur. I hope this inspired you to take action to create a rewarding and successful career for yourself, doing work you love. I am your host, Dana Gore, And if you enjoyed this conversation, I invite you to visit my website at IamMyImagination.com. Live your truth, free your mind, be creative. Until next time, take care.